Hello and welcome back to another episode of Diablo to D&D. My name is David, and today we're going to be going over the changelog for February 9th. So before I begin, there's a couple updates on the actual play side of things. I'm restarting the campaign with some new players, so I'll be bringing back the campaign update section. But also, I have been thinking about doing more than just, putting more than just the player options onto this channel. So talking about the monsters that I've created and the items that I've created and maybe the crafting systems that exist, the rune words and the Herodric Cube. I realized that as much fun as I'm having making new player options, if I'm going to be doing a system, then I need to be doing the full system. I need to be showing that I can create not just player options, but understanding items, understanding systems, and understanding monsters and whatnot. I have monster balance is out the window for me. I don't understand it, but I will be, learning as I go through making mistakes and whatnot. So that is pretty much that. I'll probably be coming out with a new video after the Let's Build Sorceress next week, talking about everything in a little bit more detail, but that's where we are right now. Well, there is a ton of stuff to go through, so let's jump right in. There is quite a few changes here, and they jump around a bit, just as I was cleaning up one thing, then looking at something else, then realizing that I could change some stuff here and there. So, all right, let's get into it. For the Druid, Horde Master's benefit to your creature's ability checks and saving throws is now your Wisdom modifier instead of your proficiency bonus. For spells, Molten Boulder's initial save now deals 3d8 bludgeoning damage instead of 2d6 each of bludgeoning and fire, and its explosion now deals 3d8 fire damage instead of 2d6 each of bludgeoning and fire, and upcasting it only increases the fire damage. Back to the Druid, where form now ends willingly as a bonus action instead of no action required. That was to prevent people from spamming Werebear at higher levels, because at level 20 you can use it infinitely. So bringing that back in as similar to the Diablo or the D&D Druid, where you have to end it as a bonus action. Also for the Druid, Shockwave now deals 2d6 instead of 1d6 damage. For the Necromancer, Teeth now deals half damage on a success. This is the ability for the Necromancer, not the spell itself. Going to spells. Corpse Explosion is now a second level instead of third level spell. The sphere radius is now 5 feet instead of 10 feet, and its scaling starts at third level instead of fourth. I think this was stepping too much on the toes of Fireball, and I decided to drop it down, because it's also, you pick it up at level 6, I think, in Diablo. So something that, it could be a third level spell, but I'm dropping it down to second. Also for spells, Teeth is now Conjuration instead of Evocation. No real reason for this. The spell schools basically don't matter for the most part. But I figured Conjuration is like summoning something. So you're summoning Teeth. For the Necromancer, Bone Spear is now a spell instead of a written out subclass ability. Bone Spear underwent a ton of iterations because I could not figure out what I wanted to do this as. Because if it was just a line, then just a line of damage, then it would be a bad lightning bolt. But if it was an attack roll, then it got weird. So instead what I'm doing is I'm making it a spell where you can kind of direct it, so you get to pick which creatures make the save. That's just built into the ability. For the Druid, Armageddon now deals 2d6 bludgeoning and fire instead of 4d6, and no longer deals half damage on a success, nerfing it significantly. For the Necromancer, Bone Wall now makes the AC of the structures created by the spell equal to your spell save DC. Gives this a bit more utility. Well, not utility, a bit more durability. Poison Explosion no longer gives you Cloud Kill and instead deals your rapid concoction damage to the creature that fails the Stinking Clouds saving throw. I think this one allows you to switch whether you want to deny the action or deal the damage. So it's kind of miniature Cloud Kill, but you get to decide every time a creature fails. Rapid Concoction clarifies that the weapon or ammunition loses the poison if anyone, rather than just you, coats them in another poison. A small corner case, but still something that needs to be done. The summoned Blood Golem's Blood Healing now also heals you equal to half the damage dealt instead of a rollover from the Golem's hit points, and the ability now explicitly rounds down. The idea was to simplify what is being healed. Previously, the Blood Golem had to be at full hit points in order for you to receive the healing. Now it's just both you and the Blood Golem receive healing equal to half the damage rounded down. For the Paladin, Blessed Hammer is now a spell. Guidance of the Light now allows you to use Blessings of the Light on any skill check or saving throw, not just failed ones. So this could be something like an investigation check or a persuasion check where you get kind of a ranked success, where it's like, 18, I could do a little bit better. This seems to be like a pretty tough situation, so I'm going to add my Blessings of the Light die to that. Redemption now uses D4s to determine the hit points healed instead of the creature's hit dice. This is a way to nerf it because when you get to higher levels, it becomes very, very big because monsters end up having fairly sizable hit dice. So it nerfs it a little bit, but still very useful. Meditation now succeeds on a 19 as well as a 20. This doubles the possibility from 5% to 10%. I've not played around with meditation. We've never gotten that high, so I don't know how good that is. It could be that the improvement is now on a 19 or 20 rather than rolling twice and choosing one. I don't know the math on that, so I'll keep that in mind. Conversion now gives proficiency and expertise in persuasion. The Holy Fist Paladin was absolute garbage unless you're fighting against fiends and undead. So this way you actually have some use as you are leveling up, more than just you don't have a subclass from level 3 up to level 20. For the Sorceress no longer starts with a Book of World History. Technically, this is a nerf, quote-unquote, nerf to their starting equipment, but meh. For the Druid, Maul now immediately deals the damage to prone creatures unless you are already under its effect. Maul is set up to deal, when you deal damage, next turn you deal more damage. The problem is if you deal damage and the next turn you miss, and then the next turn you hit, you're missing out on a ton of damage. So it's very high risk, high reward. The problem is you're dealing 1d8 plus your, at this time, 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier, when you could be dealing a ton more damage. So the idea is now, if the creature is prone, you get the damage. This is almost equal to the same amount of damage that a rogue of similar level would get. So if you knock someone prone with your bonus action, now you can, like if you missed the last turn, you can knock them prone as a bonus action and then slam down on them and immediately get the damage. And that way you can kind of keep up the damage over time. So much, much better, much needed improvement. For the Sorceress, Frozen Armor now grants disadvantage only to the next weapon attack that the creature makes instead of all of them. Frozen Armor at level 2 was too powerful, so you could take a 2-level dip into Sorceress and get some pretty strong abilities. So I cut that down and instead moved that to Shiver Armor, which now grants disadvantage to all weapon attacks that the creature makes until the end of its next turn. So that ability is now an improvement at 10th level rather than just something that's really, really good at 2nd. Going back to the Druid, Werewolf now deals 1d6 instead of 1d4, and Werebear now deals 1d10 instead of 1d8. This is entirely based on the next ability, or the next change. Maul now deals 1d10 instead of 1d12. I looked at the damage spread on any dice It's a really, really great website. It'll show you the damage, or like the ranges of dice rolls. Anyway, I looked up the damage ranges for 1d8 plus 1d12, and there was like a plateau right in the middle. So instead what I did is I dropped the maul damage down 1 and the werebear up 1 for the damage dice. So now it's 2d10 plus twice your wisdom modifier. Well, wisdom or strength, instead of 1d8 plus 1d12. That way, if you don't have your 1d12, you don't have to go searching for 2 different kinds of dice, yada yada. And it gives that nice, not exactly a parabola, but it gives that nice peak right in the middle and sloped size, a triangle, I guess. So it redistributes the damage, and so it's not like a 50% chance to hit right in the middle. Now, this did lead me to make a new document, which is just the weapons statistics. I think it's somewhere on in the files. It's literally just, what does a warhammer do? Here's all the statistics of a warhammer. Here's all the statistics of everything. So the werebear dealing 1d10 is more akin to like a polearm rather than a one-handed weapon. But also, I think it's fine because unless you're going for the werebear subclass, it's not going to be that useful. Or maybe it's really useful at level 2. I don't know. But the werewolf dealing 1d6 instead of 1d4, I think that is perfectly fine because this does kind of not negate, but kind of reduce the strain to pick up the fighting style, the unarmed fighting style, which gives 1d8 if you're unarmed. So now you're going, instead of going from 1d4 to 1d8, you'd be going 1d6 to 1d8, which is much less of a jump. And 1d6 is just kind of the general damage for simple weapons and whatnot. So now the werebear is much more that damage and tank versus the werewolf's accuracy and hitting more often kind of thing. And that is it. Yeah, I think next week I'm going to be doing the Let's Build for the Sorceress, and then I will be doing a video updating everybody on my decision to bring in the items and monsters and kind of show what I've been doing. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You can contact me at XenozFan2, that is XenozFan2 on Blue Sky and Reddit. And you can contact the channel directly at Diablo TODND on Blue Sky and YouTube. Thank you much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good whatever.